Yesterday, we looked at who was winning in the transfer portal. Let's look who is losing in the transfer portal. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Did the Bears in Seattle set football way back last night? Ooh. Goodness, that's an ugly football game. All right, we will talk about the transfer portal here, and then I just couldn't stay up. I tried to stay up. I watched the first half. We will wrap up today's episode with Arkansas State hanging on and getting a bowl victory last night in Mobile. Very entertaining ball game. Bowling Green tried to hand it to Arkansas State time and time again, and Arkansas State eventually took it from them. So congratulations to Butch Jones and the Red Wolves. And so let's start off with the losers. Obviously, the top loser is Marshall, all right? When it comes to the transfer portal, where they're up to a third of their roster, over 30 guys have transferred out. A third of those guys have transferred to Southern Miss. Southern Miss officially is now up to 21 commits in the transfer portal. But here's the difference. Marshall has 9 guys coming in. So, again, we mentioned they could be on both lists. So at least Marshall has 9 guys coming in. Coach Gibson doing a good job of bringing in those guys defensively. We talked about that yesterday. But 2 teams that are being hit very, very hard. In fact, 3 teams being hit specifically hard are the Ragin' Cajuns. Now, oddly enough, the Ragin' Cajuns have brought in one guy. It's a big guy, big name, Walker Howard. All right. Started high school, won a couple of state championships with St. Thomas More, and was a hometown kid. His dad is Jamie Howard, went to LSU, kind of had a roller coaster career there at LSU, and they weren't big on going to LSU, and he was going there to sit. They knew he was going to sit, and they didn't think he was going to sit for 2 years, and then ends up being Jaden Daniels is going there, and he ends up winning the Heisman Trophy. So he's going to go to Ole Miss. Well, he didn't think he was going to sit behind Jackson Dart for 2 years because Jackson Dart was going to take off, but Jackson Dart ends up coming back. So then he's now going to, instead of staying at Ole Miss, he ends up coming back home to play for the Ragin' Cajuns. So oddly enough, according to 24/7, take that for what it's worth, the Ragin' Cajuns, with all of 1 commit, are right behind Southern Miss, who have 21 commits, ranked second in the transfer portal when it comes to rankings. I don't think anybody has more than a handful. I think somebody else has 4 transfers in, but in terms of ranking players, Walker Howard ranks very highly. Okay. We don't know how good he's going to be because he just hasn't played very much. All right. However, they're getting crushed with the guys going out. All right. They are absolutely getting hammered with the dudes heading out. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Terrence Carter going to Texas Tech. All right. Big tight end, 6'2", 239 pounds. I believe he was their leading receiver. All right. He is not playing in the bowl game tomorrow night. All right. Harvey Broussard, I believe a localish product, St. Martinville, Louisiana. 6'3", 183, really talented kid, lots of speed, going to Houston. All right. It seems like Willie Fritz allows Mike Desimo to do all his recruiting from him. Took a couple of guys last year and is taking at least a couple of guys this year, along with Carmichael Glass, a linebacker, 6'4", 240 pounds, getting just crushed. Ty Stamey, a 6'6" tight end, is leaving. And then you got running back Draylon Washington. There was I wouldn't say it was a loaded running back room. You still got Zylan Perry and Bill Davis coming back, but all three of them could come back. And the issue with that is you're looking, I'm a hashtag, always a bright side. Not one guy is going to put up big numbers. At the same time, you still got a lot of tread on those wheels. So you may not put up Ashton Gentry eye-popping numbers. At the same time, you end up going to some all-star games or you get some good pro day numbers. You still can get a chance to go to the pros. And all three of these guys, I think, are a little bit different. Bill Davis, a little bit more powerful. Zylan Perry, a little bit more speed. And maybe Draylen Washington, a combination of both. And we'll see where Draylen Washington goes. But, Draylen Washington, Terrence Carter, and Harvey Broussard, big part of the Ragin' Cajuns offense for next year. And that would have been fantastic for them to be there with Walker Howard. And now they're not going to be there. Some other guys, DJ Williams, offensive lineman, Jathan Caldwell, tight end. A couple of tight ends are leaving. I'm a big tight end guy. Traven Colbert, wide receiver. I don't think he played much. And Nukuba also leaving. But I think I don't think that's the only ones. I think they've lost a couple other guys, unless unless I'm confusing guys. No, I thought they had another cornerback, Gubu, if that's his name. Now I got to look up the roster. Let's see if we can do that quickly. I thought they had lost another defensive back had gone into the portal. So they're losing guys left and right. Tim Leger, the offensive coordinator, did put out a cryptic tweet last night. Those who laugh last, laugh best, or something along those lines. So we'll see if that's the case. But they are struggling. They got to a good bowl game. We'll see. Ben Woldridge is expected to play. So that's pretty good. But, Justin Agu is not here. So it appears he has transferred. I think he was, he was on the team. So that's another guy who's transferred out. So the Cajuns have gotten hit hard. They have gotten hit hard, and they have not brought anybody in. They did lose a couple of key guys last year, including Zion Chris, but they didn't lose a lot of guys. They've lost a lot of guys this year, and they've lost some key guys this year. So we'll see what they do in the transfer portal coming up. They did get hit hard, and they need to replenish. That's for sure. All right, let's take a timeout. We could see this one coming, unfortunately, and this is where we can actually have that discussion. Where does winning rank when you're picking a college these days? All right, because I'm not sure it's a priority. It could just be me. All right, we'll talk about that next on a Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We'll do that after I tell you about Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and now I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing out about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so South Alabama also getting hit hard. I think they finally did bring somebody in. They got a wide receiver, Brendan Jenkins, 6'1", 200 pounds. Doesn't say where he's from. Oh, Samford. Okay, so they got him in from the Samford Bulldogs. But just like Ahmad Hardy from ULM, we didn't want to talk it into existence, but it's not difficult to see that Fluff Bothwell was going to probably leave. I would presume, I could be wrong, that someone had to be talking to him to stick around. All right. You can't offer him what Power 4 squads are going to offer him, but you got to offer him, a high 5, low 6-figure compensation. I don't want to say salary, but that's basically what it is. All right. And he ends up, and again, I don't know what the timing of this was. Maybe it wasn't 100%, but I mentioned it. Again, it's 24/7. Not that somebody told me, but it was a 24/7 the other day. Would have been Christmas morning when I recorded it. And he's going to Mississippi State. Could he have done better than Mississippi State, or did they just offer him the most money? Because does anybody want to go to Mississippi State? They won 2 ball games. They beat 1 FBS team. Right? The SEC was hard before Oklahoma and Texas got there. And now it's harder. We'll see. Again, I'm going to belabor this point. Mississippi State better not lose to Southern Miss. That's going to be an amazing way for the Charles Huff era to start in Hattiesburg if he and Braylon Braxton and all those transfers end up beating Mississippi State. Also, the stadium better be sold out. I don't want it. Unless it's pouring rain, I certainly don't want to hear about the heat. All right. Pack some water. All right. I don't want to hear about the stadium running out of water either. Okay. Let's be prepared. That stadium better be full. If it's raining, you have my sympathies. I don't want to be wet. All right. I guess if it's dangerously hot, also we don't want people passing out. So, okay. But don't lose to Southern Miss. That will be, if he's already not on the hot seat, he will be if he loses to Southern Miss. But where is the priorities when it comes to these college football players? Because I don't think winning is. Okay. Fluff could have stayed at South Alabama, and I think they would have won more. They just seem to get wide receivers from, they just keep on from the Jalens to Jamal Pritchett. They just keep on finding wide receivers. It doesn't matter where they come from. And they keep on finding running backs. They keep on getting a great offensive line. And now they have a quarterback that they've built on. They really could have had something special, a little bit of a roller coaster season. And they could have solidified themselves heading into 2025. But they have lost some players. And Fluff Bothwell is the key one. Now, a couple of these guys, again, the kicker, Lath Marjan, signs with Kansas. Okay. Jordan Scruggs, cornerback, signs with West Virginia. Okay. So he's probably getting a little bit of the bag, but they've lost some guys. Offensive tackle, Jaden Hobson, 6'5", 262. Fortenberry, cornerback, 5'11", 175 pounds. These guys are, 3 stars heading to 4 stars. Defensive lineman Jordan Norman, Braylon McReynolds. It could never, he's a backup running back for South Alabama. Could never crack the starting lineup, either injuries or something along those lines. Maybe he could have gotten in there next year. Jacob Jones, quarterback, can't blame him for leaving. He was stuck behind Gio. Let me see where he was. Is he the kid from? No, he's from Lexington, Kentucky, because they did get a local kid who's probably going to be the next quarterback. Ricky Hyatt, safety, right? A highly ranked 3-star, 6'1", 195. And Brian Dillard, a cornerback, great size, 6'2", 190 pounds. Like South Alabama's gotten hit hard. And, despite playing 2 weeks ago, they have not really filled their spots. Whereas Texas State has. Texas State, I don't think Texas State's playing until, when is Texas State playing? Right? Texas State, are they playing like after the new year? Let me see when Texas State is playing. Yeah, Texas State's playing January 3rd. So Texas State has taken advantage of it, right? We went over that. They got like 26 new players coming in, with 8 or 9 in the transfer portal, and a lot of the kids from the high school ranks coming in. So G.J. Kinney taking advantage of the downtime, and it doesn't appear that Mike Desimo for the Cajuns has been able to do that, or Major Applewhite from South Alabama has been able to do that just yet. We'll see. I'm sure they're working on things. I'm sure they're not just twiddling their thumbs, but they haven't been able to close just yet. So we'll see. They usually do, right? The Cajuns picked up some guys last year. They didn't need that many. South Alabama has done a good job of filling some holes. I think that West is going to be amazing next year in the Sun Belt. I really do. Our Arkansas State kind of announced their presence with authority. Jalen Rayner, another, victory last night. Going to fill some spots. They got some guys leaving, due to graduation, due to running out of eligibility. So they're going to have to fill some spots there. I don't know, did I see Malik Hornsby making a tackle on like a kickoff? How about that? How about that? Former quarterback making a tackle on a kickoff. I'm sure he's been doing that all year, but I haven't watched a whole lot of Arkansas State football this season, so that's pretty good for him. But Texas State, the Cajuns with Walker Howard, Jalen Rayner's back for a third season, Gio Lopez in his second year of starting, Braylon Braxton in his second year of starting. We'll see if Goose Crowder is healthy for Troy. That West is going to be really, really good next year. That West is going to be really good. So, but the Cajuns and South Alabama have gotten hit hard. One other team has gotten hit particularly hard, and that is Georgia Southern. They do have 3 guys coming in. They got a defensive lineman, Uche Ulo, from Georgia Tech. They got Camden Brown, wide receiver, coming in from Auburn. And it looks like Brandon Tyson, a linebacker. That could be Elon. I don't have my glasses on. So that's what that could be. But they are losing a couple of big-time guys. They're losing 10 guys, but their 2 big ones are safety Mark Stampley and the defensive player of the year, Marquise Watson-Trent. Now he's a smallish linebacker, 5'11", 225. So, there's not a whole lot of 5'11", 225 linebackers in the NFL. Could be some in the CFL, that size. So if he's got to go get his bag now, he's got to go get his bag now. All right. And so I guess he could come back. I don't know what Clay Helton's, rules are. I do know that Mike Desimo's rules are if you go into the portal, take care. All right. I think Major Applewhite is basically the same way. But I'm the defensive player of the year, although the player of the year was a defensive player as well. It is what it is. But those are 2 key guys for Georgia Southern. Other guys that they've lost, is it Cayman Mathis, cornerback, 5'11", 155 pounds. Weston Wallace, offensive tackle, 6'4", 341. Sam Kinnerson, wide receiver. Colton Fitzgerald, quarterback. Isaac Walker, linebacker. DeAndre Buchanan, wide receiver. And Dexter Williams, the second. He's been in there a long time. He ends up at Kennesaw State. Okay. Did they pay him? I mean, now maybe he's just looking for a chance to play. Okay. All right. That's interesting. All right. All right. Would not have bet on that one. Okay. All right, so we'll go through more. Like, I think Troy lost a few. Like, JMU hasn't lost all that many players. I don't think Georgia State has lost that many players. We'll go through it more as it goes on. Obviously, we still have signing day in February for what that's worth. And we'll see, what it is come spring practice, right? And when, you have to enroll come January. So we'll see what those are at that time. All right, let's recap. What is it? The 68 Ventures Bowl. Arkansas State gets a win. Year number 4 ends on a high note for Butch Jones. Excuse me. Talk about that right after I tell you about FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown, on how many points each team will score. It is thrilling. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. For example, you could have bet on a first half draw last night, which almost hit at plus 850. Almost. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. It did hit in the second half. I had it in the first half. Ouch. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, last night, what a ball game. Again, had to go to bed. That game ended at 12:30 last night, Eastern time. Ouch. Arkansas State with a 38-31 win over Bowling Green. Very entertaining ball game. I'd say back and forth, but it was really Arkansas State taking control and then hanging on. Bowling Green did have one successful fake punt. That went for a touchdown. Tried another one. That didn't work. Had a blocked field goal. That turned into a score. The second fake punt did not turn into a score. Jalen Rayner, 18 out of 30, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, threw a bad interception. Connor Bazelak, who's been playing forever, 32 out of 49, 390 yards and 3 touchdowns. How do you lose a ball game like that? Because they missed some field goals. Zach Wallace put the finishing touches on the ball game. 15 carries, 99 yards, and that touchdown helped secure the game. Bowling Green could not rush the football. That's how they lost. If they could have rushed the football at all, they would have won the ball game. Arkansas State had all kinds of issues stopping the run this year. They stopped the run last night in a big way. Listen to this. Bowling Green rushed 24 times for 46 yards. All right. Terrian Stewart had one 16-yard gain. That was their longest gain of the night. Take that away, which still counts. I get it. But they had 20. You take that one away, they had 23 rushes for 30 yards. They shut down the Bowling Green rushing attack. They did not shut down Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end, who is, I guess, the best tight end in FBS history, statistically rise, 17 catches, 213 yards, and a touchdown. Bazelak was forcing it a little bit to him. He had a great game. I mean, what can you do? Rakeem Smith had a touchdown, 97 yards, 7 catches. Malcolm Johnson, 2 catches, 69 yards. Nice. And a touchdown. Corey Rucker had a big ball game, 4 catches, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Let's see here. We did have a punt return in here for a touchdown. That kind of got the game going in Arkansas State's way. Courtney Jackson had the punt return for 60 yards for a touchdown. Not sure what the punter was doing. I guess I can't blame the punter, but he, for some reason, didn't want to go to the sidelines to get the punt returner to go back inside, but okay. Can't blame him for that one. But then I think, is that where they had the, then they had the fake punt. Arkansas State got a stop, but then they had the fake punt for the touchdown. And it just kept on going back and forth and back and forth. Although I don't think Bowling Green ever took the lead. They got it to 17-14, 24-14, and then 24-21. That's when Jalen Rayner threw the interception, but they missed a field goal at the end of the half. And so it was 24-21. And then the game kind of turned. First play of the second half, Bowling Green fumbled. Arkansas State turned that into a touchdown. And they really never got closer than 7. And then at the end of the ball game, they had a nice, one of those four-minute offenses. They got the ball 1st and 10. The Red Wolves did 1st and 10 on their own 32 with about 8 minutes left to go. They had a nice 5-minute drive. 2nd and 9. I prefer not to kick it or score, but what are you going to do? Not score. On 2nd and 9, Zach Wallace, a 14-yard run for a touchdown. So they got the ball with 7:53 left to go. They scored when it was 3:10 left to go. So just about a 5-minute drive, maybe closer to 4.5 minutes. But what a great job. Although Bowling Green came back and scored a touchdown very quickly. Arkansas State recovered the onside kick. And Butch Jones, who, again, one of those things where the recruiting, right? You have this great recruiting, but everyone sees the great recruiting, but that takes a couple of years to translate to on the field. So he has had some great recruiting classes, but that takes 2 or 3 years to culminate on the field, right? So Del McGee has this great recruiting class coming in the fall of 25, right? For next year. All right. But that's going to take minimally to 26 or 27 for anybody to see anything, right? But Butch Jones is finishing up his 4th year. All right. He is, well, obviously, so Charles Huff is entering his 5th year. So him and Butch Jones have the most seniority in the conference, right? Huff, 4 years at Marshall, now 1 year at Southern Miss coming in. Butch Jones is going to his 5th year at the same school. That's got to be the most in the conference, right? Clay Helton's going into his 4th year. Ricky Ronnie may be up there as well. Yeah. Desimo overall, but not as head coach. Major Applewhite will be there for 5 years as well. 2nd year as head coach. And that's about it. Yeah. Yep. There's not a whole lot of guys that have been around for a long time in the Sun Belt, right? You do well and you move up like John Summerall did, or you don't do well and you get let go like Will Hall is what usually happens, right? Is what usually happens. You usually don't stay an extended time. I think we'll see what happens with Mike Desimo. I'd be surprised if he takes off. He's going to have to, the way Mike Desimo would end up taking off if the Cajuns end up in the playoff. So he's got the quarterback to potentially do that. If somehow Mike Desimo ends up and the Cajuns end up in the college football playoff in the next 2 years with Walker Howard there, he'll get some play. Excuse me. I got to cut back to a half a pack a day. I'm kidding, obviously. If somehow the Cajuns end up in the playoff, then he'll get some play. I think he's not going to get some play if he just wins the Sun Belt. That's not going to happen. And I don't think he's going to take a Tulane job. I don't think he's going to take, and I'm not putting down. I don't think Tulane's a middling job. I think it's a middling job compared to ACC or SEC. It's in the middle between Sun Belt and, the big time. It's more, and I'm going back and forth with somebody on YouTube very respectfully. All right. I appreciate the going back and forth. I just don't think he's going to take a job, and it is more money, right? If you have a $5 or $6 million contract compared to what could be a $10 million contract, that's not chump change. All right. It's not. I'm not sure he's going to do that. All right. Now, if he's being offered a $20 million contract, he's going to take that. All right. No one's going to blame him for doing that. If he's being offered 20 or 25 million, he's going to take it. All right. Well, we'll see. But he's very comfortable there. I think he wants to build something there. Here's the thing, and this is a whole nother podcast. You start going to some of those other schools, right? And we're going to find this out with Napier. You're going to find it out. Mississippi State's going to find it out quickly. Maybe not Mississippi State, but you know who's going to find it out is Brian Kelly. He's got a huge contract. You miss the playoffs 2 or 3 years in a row at LSU, you may be out of a job, right? There's no real pressure on Mike Desimo to go to the college football playoffs. You'd like to. That'd be nice. But you got it. You need to go undefeated, which is not easy. And you're going to need some help. And you need a schedule. They get Missouri next year, I think. So maybe you beat Missouri and you're on the map and you're rated, you're ranked. So, you need some conditions for you to go, undefeated, and you're going to need some help for some other teams losing. So there's no real pressure for Mike Desimo to go to the college football playoffs where there are at other places. So you step up 2 levels, and that's the pressure's on, and the clock is ticking as soon as you get the job. With the Cajuns, there's a level of comfortability. Now, there's pressure to win the Sun Belt and contend in the Sun Belt. Don't make that mistake. He needs to contend at the Sun Belt almost every year. Now, there'll be turnover, but with the transfer portal, you're expected to contend. All right. We will enjoy the weekend. Hopefully, you will enjoy the weekend. We will be back. Cajuns play over the weekend. We'll recap that. We'll see what happens in the portal. Again, somewhere between Christmas and today, Southern Miss got somebody else. Maybe it was a Carl Chester. I thought we had put that in there, but they went from 20 to 21 in the last couple of days. So they continue to clean up in the portal. And if they weren't rivals before, Southern Miss and Marshall are maybe the best rivalry now in the Sun Belt. All right. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. Basketball will be back after the New Year's. Thanks again. We're up to 1,830. So we're not going to get to the 2025. We're still going to shoot for that. So we'll hopefully be that shortly after the new year. We're having a record month, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.